Classification in taxonomy and systematics. So, classification, putting things into orderly groups based on similar characteristics. What is classification? Early system of classification, modern classification, kingdom of classification, importance and purpose. Classification. Taxonomy is the branch of science that names and groups organisms according to their characteristic and evolutionary history. Early system of classification. Aristotle grouped everything into simple groups such as animals or plants. Organisms were first classified more than 200 years. Aristotle classified all living organisms as either as plant or an animal. He further classified animals by where they lived and plant by their size. Aristotle classification. Short herbs, medium shrubs, tall trees. The system of classification. The modern classification system was developed by the Swedish scientist Carl Linnaeus in the mid 70s. Some characteristics he used to classify organisms were outside appearance, that means morphology, internal organs, anatomy, and how body systems worked. The father of modern taxonomy. Classification history. Linnaeus classified living world into two kingdoms, plant and animalia. The system is used till very recently. The system does not distinguish between eukaryotic and prokaryotic, unicellular and multicellular organisms, and photosynthetic green algae and non-photosynthetic fungi organisms. He developed a hierarchy, a ranking system for classifying organisms that is at the basis of modern taxonomy. For this reason, he is considered to be the father of modern taxonomy. Great binomial nomenclature and classification. Kingdom is the largest and the most comprehensive level of classification. Phylum is a group of related classes. Class is a group of related orders. Order is a group of related families. Family is a group of related genera. Genus is a group of related species. Species is a group of similar individuals capable of interbreeding to produce fertile offspring. Five kingdom classification. R.H. Vitaka, 1969, proposed a five kingdom classification. Plant, Animalia, Fungi, Moneta, and Protista. Five kingdom classification. The main criteria for classification used by him include cell structure, thallus organization and mode of nutrition, reproduction, and phylogenetic relationships. All eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms were placed in kingdom Plantae. The multicellular eukaryotic organisms were placed in kingdom Animalia. The heterotrophic organisms were placed in kingdom Fungi. All prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under kingdom Monera. The unicellular eukaryotic organisms were placed in kingdom Protista. Next, six kingdom classification. Six kingdoms in taxonomy organized according to type of cells, ability to make food, number of cells in body like archaebacteria, eubacteria, protist, fungi, plants, and animals. Eubacteria unicellular prokaryotic, archaebacteria unicellular prokaryotic, protista eukaryotic, unicellular multicellular, plantae multicellular eukaryotic, animalia multicellular eukaryotic, and fungi multicellular eukaryotic. Terminology: getting food, autotrophs making own food, heterotrophs get food from other sources, type of cells, prokaryotic, no nucleus membrane bound organelles, DNA circular, no, two contain ribosomes, eukaryotic. These are just common terms which we know already. And kingdom archaebacteria, cell type: ancient bacteria existed before dinosaurs. Then cell type: prokaryote, number of cells unicellular, nutrition autotroph or heterotroph, location: extreme environment, volcanoes, deep sea vents, Yellowstone hot springs, methanogens, and thermophiles. The kingdom Eubacteria, chemical makeup is different from that of Archaebacteria. Cell type: prokaryotic, number of cells unicellular, nutrition autotroph or heterotroph, example Streptococcus, Escherichia coli. Importance of classification. It helps in identification of living organisms as well as understanding the diversity of living organisms. To understand the study of the features, similarities and differences between different living organisms and how they are grouped under different categories, it's essential to understand the interrelationship among the different groups of organisms. Purpose of taxonomy. The purpose of taxonomy is to categorize organisms based on their common characteristics and descent. The main aim of taxonomy is to identify, characterize, classify, and give specific names to all the living organisms according to their characteristics. Plants and animals are classified into different taxa: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. The classification system for organisms have been around for a long time. It has entered several changes and is quite complex. Without it, modern biology could not exist, much in the same way that a grocery store would go out of business if it did not have a classification system. This classification of organisms help us to easily identify, quantify, and protect species diversity.